Hello guys and welcome to the SNS Cricket Diaries. I'm doing a video today after quite some time. This is just about the Ashes series that's going on between, of course, England and Australia. The fourth test match recently concluded. It was a two-day affair, just like it happened in Perth. First time I think it has ever happened that in one test series itself, you have seen two test matches finishing in 2 days. It's been that kind of a test series, you know. A lot was expected from the English team under Bazball when they reached the shores of the Australian country, but ultimately it's been the same old story. Yes, they have nicked off one test match. We're going to talk about that, but ultimately losing the Ashes in 11 days, similar to Nasir Hussain's team in 2002, 2003. But again, you know, as experts have been saying, that was against a quality world-class Australian team. And this Australian team, as we have seen in the fourth test match and throughout the series actually, the batting has not been really up to the mark for the Australians except a few batters, namely, Travis Head and to some extent Steve Smith and to a very large extent Mitchell Starc. I mean, if you notice the contributions that he has given, especially in Brisbane and Adelaide, that really shows how much the Australian batting has been struggling. That one of their top scorers or among their top scorers is probably Mitchell Starc. Of course, yes, Alex Carey has also played, but we'll come to the stats in a while. But yeah, I mean, this is just an overall review of the four test matches that have happened. I won't go test by test, but just generally, I think to talk about a fantastic team performance by the Australian team so far, to win the series with two test matches to go. They won the first two test matches in Perth at the Optus Stadium and at the Gabba in Brisbane, both by 8 wickets, and then an 82-run victory, which it seems a close test match, but it wasn't. Australia was always in control. And Pat Cummins, remember, came back in that match, so they won the Adelaide Test match, which was a day game. Important to note because in most of the recent years, Adelaide has been hosting the day-nighter, but this time it was Brisbane which hosted the day-nighter. So Adelaide was back to the traditional daytime test match, and fantastic performance by the Australian team. England, they came with really high hopes, genuinely believing that they could probably cause an upset or at least keep the test series alive by the time the fourth test match came, but that was not to be. Ben Stokes looked very dejected, extremely despondent with the way his team had played. He himself had shown that grit and that ability to grind an innings out in both Brisbane and in Adelaide, but unfortunately his team to a very large extent could not replicate that. And it's only towards the latter part of the Adelaide Test match that we saw the likes of Zach Crawley and Harry Brook to some extent trying to put a price on their wickets. And of course, there was some good batting by Jamie Smith, the wicketkeeper, in the Adelaide Test match. Looking at the results so far, 3-1, England just winning that two-day shootout. Yeah, I must say it was a shootout. A terrible pitch, and as Ben Stokes had expressed in the press conference later, that had it happened in any other part of the world, hell would have been unleashed. And there was one reporter who actually asked him that was he referring to the subcontinent, especially to India. We in India always talk a lot about pitches, especially in the last few years, ever since the WTC has come into the picture. We've seen the managements in the past, namely Rahul Dravid, as well as Ravi Shastri, wanting to have pitches which heavily favor the spinners, because that is India's strength at home, and it has backfired in the last couple of years. We've seen India lose a test series to New Zealand 3-0, then we lost to South Africa recently 2-0 this year. So, pitches always become a big issue in India, and that's what probably Ben Stokes was probably referring to. Although when he was asked that, are you referring to the subcontinent, he said that that's not what I'm saying, that's what you are saying. So he didn't want to name any particular country, but he was very right in mentioning that had it happened in any other part of the world, it would have been heavily criticized by the Western media, including obviously the Australian media. But anyway, a test match that really, the iconic Boxing Day Test match deserved at least a 4-day Test match, if not a 5-day. It was something that was not expected. People were comparing the Test match to the one which was held last year when India were touring. There was 7 millimeters of grass that was left on the pitch at that point of time, and it resulted in a full 5-day Test match. Remember, that was a Test match in which Rishabh Pant played that stupid shot to get out in the first innings, and an equally atrocious shot in the second innings as well. But then that Test match lasted 5 days, so we were hoping that the curator here, who had actually done a fantastic job. Remember in 2017 when on a featherbed of a pitch, Alistair Cook really grinded his way to 244. Probably even from his own perspective, not one of his greatest innings because of the fact that it was such a dull draw. So that was like a line in the sand that was drawn by the Melbourne Cricket Club and the grounds committee, and from there on they produced some very good pitches. But this was, again, I think this was the other end of the spectrum, to look at how from one end of the spectrum where they saw a dull draw in 2017, now going into this game with finishing just 2 days. It's interesting how the Australian media and even the English media and ex-players did not criticize the Perth pitch. Even that pitch lasted just 2 days. The Test match lasted just 2 days. It's interesting if someone can please put in the comments that as to why that pitch was not criticized as much as the pitch at the MCG has been criticized, because both games lasted 2 days. But I guess this win would probably feel a bit hollow for the English team, maybe for the fans as well, because of the fact, firstly, that it came in a non-live Test match. Remember, the series is already gone, and secondly, it was such a terrible pitch that it was just a shootout, and probably there is no coincidence that in both Perth and in Melbourne, the team batting second went on to win the game. England would feel probably it was lottery, and they just came up at the right end of the result. But even they would feel that had the game gone much deeper, and had they really fought their way towards victory, that would have been much sweeter than what they've achieved. But again, their first win in 14 years. Remember, the last Test win for England in Australia came back in Sydney in 2011, when under Andrew Strauss they scripted a remarkable 3-1 series victory. As every series goes by after that, it seems more and more like an aberration to see what has happened before that series and what has happened after that series. It is something that really shows how remarkable that series win was. And then after that, we saw a 5-0 blank in 2013-14, a 4-0 and a 4-0 in 2017-18, and in 2021-22. So the likes of Ben Stokes and Joe Root. Ben Stokes, remember, made his Test debut in 2013-14 in the Ashes. Joe Root played his first Ashes series in that series as well. The Mitchell Johnson series, as we all have come to know of it now. They didn't taste victory until this Test match. And look at someone like Jacob Bethel, same Test match. That was his first Test match against Australia in Australia, and he has tasted victory. So for the likes of Jamie Smith, Harry Brook, Ben Duckett, this was just their fourth Test match, and they've tasted victory. But for the likes of Ben Stokes and Joe Root, they have had to wait for, I don't know, as long as 15. Remember, Ben Stokes missed the series in 2017-18. So for Joe Root, who actually has played all those Test matches, so first victory in 19 attempts for the English cricket team. So congratulations to them. I'm sure that that the beer in all the Melbourne bars and restaurants would have gotten over. But again, it's something that Test cricket needs to really take a hard look at. Matches finishing in 2 days. There have been varied opinions about the result. Some have criticized the pitch, and rightly so. The curator was roped in by the Cricket Australia CEO to explain as to what happened. He said that the fact that it was quite cold and quite it was a bit of a rainy time at that point of time, and he was expecting the pitch to really I mean the conditions really get hotter on days 3, 4 and 5. So keeping that in mind, he had left 3 mm extra grass as compared to the previous test match here against India. But then the game never lasted beyond those 2 days, never reached a third day. And he has been heavily criticized, but he has been backed by the Australian Cricket Board, and rightly so. I think if he's got one wrong in the last 7 to 8 test matches, I don't think that deserves a sacking on his part. There's also been another point of view. I was reading Craig Chappell's article in Cricinfo that mentioned about the batters losing the art of batting on difficult pitches. He mentioned an old test match at the MCG where a certain cricketer, I'm forgetting the name, he really hung in. And we've seen over the last, those who have followed cricket for the last 15, 20, 25 years, there has been a shift in the pattern of how batters now look at conditions. So wherever they get conditions which are heavily favoring the bowlers and it's very difficult to bat, the mindset that they have now is just to take the aggressive route, because they know that finally one ball will have their name on it and they'll get out. Whereas earlier they used batters like Cheteshwar Pujara, Rahul Dravid to talk about from the Indian team. You look at someone like Gary Kirsten, Shivnarine Chandrapol. I'm going a little back. Even Kane Williamson for that matter. So many other players come to mind who really had that dog in them, that mongrel kind of an attitude to really get stuck in and not give their wicket away. But that doesn't seem to be the order of the day now. Batters are more keen to take the easier option out. You look at someone like Harry Brook. He dances down the track on the very first ball that he faces of Mitchell Starc or any other bowler, and mind you, that attitude paid off for him, because I think thanks to him, England could get up to 110 in the first innings, and then the approach that Ben Duckett and Zach Crawley took at the start of England's second innings, that really helped set the base for the English team, and because 174 could have been a tricky total, and remember they ultimately did lose 6 wickets. So had they been 10 for 2, 15 for 3, it would have been very difficult, and that negative mindset could have cropped in. Something that actually happened with the Indian team, I must say, against South Africa in the first test match, and even against New Zealand last year when they played the third test match in Mumbai and were dismissed while chasing 147. So I think when you're chasing targets like 150, 160 like that, and you're expected to win as a batting team, albeit under extremely difficult batting conditions, the aggressive route is fine. But then when pitches are much more normal, quote unquote normal, it's important that that players dig in, and that's what Craig Chappell said, that the current generation of viewers, the youngsters who are coming up the ranks and future generations deserve a much better space for Test cricket, because if Test cricket is played like this, then probably there have been calls by former cricketers and experts of reducing the Test matches to 4 days. And I personally have never been a fan of 4-day Test cricket. Yes, a lot of the Test matches don't go into the 5th day, but you see what we saw in England, the India-England series. Each and every Test match went into a 5th day, riveting contest, riveting Test series. Yes, we are not going to get that every now and then, and mostly Test matches will end either on 3rd or 4th days. But to have that buffer of a 5th day, and the fact that, Test match ebbs and flows over a period of time. You have phases where you have to grind it out, phases where you have to give it back to the opposition. So all these phases take time to develop, and that's why a 5th day is important. And I mean, 5th day has been there in Test cricket for ages. So, but then when you see results like this, when you see the attitude of the batters when faced with difficult conditions, then probably those who call for 4-day Test cricket will feel vindicated. So I think ICC really needs to look at doing something in terms of making sure that probably the pitches are standardized in a way, but the batters also have to take take a lot of responsibility. I know with so many leagues that cricketers play these days, it's very, very difficult to take out time to hone your skills, to iron out the flaws that you have in your batting. But that's something that the cricket boards have to do with their respective players. The players have to also think about it. That's for another day. But talking about the Ashes, coming to some of the stats in this series so far. If you look at the top run scorers, we have Travis Head with 437 runs, Alex Carey with 291, Zach Crawley with 256, and followed by Ollie Pope, who actually was removed from the playing 11 in this Test match at the MCG with 190. So it's something that you know we really need to look at. The Australian team also is facing a lot of issues in terms of its batting. They cannot just rely on Travis Head all the time. Jake Weatherall seemed to have had a good start to his Test career after the second Test match, but it seems he still needs that one knock to really get set into the Australian team and probably lock his place in for at least maybe the next few months. It's going to be interesting to see how Usman Khawaja reacts. It's going to be his. This last Test match was probably supposed to be a swan song of his Test career. He did himself no harm at all with the innings that he played in Adelaide. Here as well, he consumed a lot of balls as well. So probably he's someone that the Australian team can look forward to. When you talk about the top wicket takers, Mitchell Starc is leading the way with 26, Bryden Cast with 19 wickets, and Scott Boland with 16. It's been that kind of a series for Mitchell Starc, you know. Yes, in the last couple of Test matches, he's not got the returns which he would have ideally wanted. But and when he started the series, it looked like it would be just like how Mitchell Johnson owned the series of 2013. 14, it looked like Mitchell Starc, and he's still doing that, by the way, with his batting as well. He has been the single most outstanding performer for the Australian team, apart from Alex Carey. He's not Carey, he's Carey. Many people say it's Carey, it's not Carey, it's Carey. I think the Australians, when they knew that Pat Cummins would not be playing a major part in the series, Josh Hazlewood is completely out, to have Mitchell Starc really run and take that onus, take that responsibility, it was a sight to watch him in the first couple of Test matches. Unfortunate that Nathan Lyon is not part of the team anymore. It's going to be interesting to see how things pan up for him in the next few months, years. Remember, he's close to 38 or 39 at this point of time. Did not play the day-night Test match at the Gabba. Played a very crucial role at Adelaide just before he got injured. Remember, he got injured midway through the 2023 Ashes as well, which was played in England. So it's going to be interesting to see how things pan out for Nathan Lyon. Remember, Australia did not field a spinner. And Nathan Lyon actually said that it's not just bad for him when he was left out of the squad of the playing 11 in the day-nighter at the Gabba. He said, what message does that convey to the spinners in the rest of the Australian domestic setup? So, I mean, it's interesting that way to see how things are panning out. I would say that it's just something that probably the Australian team needs to look at, the kind of pitches that they are creating. Ben Stokes is someone I feel as a batter, he has really taken responsibility. Yes, he's not got those big scores. His highest score has been 83 that he made. So I think it's just something that he needs to really look into, that how his team can give him more than what they are just giving right now. I think at the end of the day, looking forward to the 5th Test match, it's going to be exciting to see what happens after the 5th Test match. If England win, will Brendan McCullum, Rob Key and Ben Stokes get to hold their jobs, or will there be a huge change? If you ask me, I don't think, irrespective of the result, they should not be any change to the top leadership. Maybe Rob Key might have to make way, but I think on the field when it is Brendan McCullum and Ben Stokes, their partnership has been doing well. Yes, they haven't won the big series, but I think if they can take lessons from this series, the lack of preparation, not willing to play against the state sides as tour games, that has come to haunt them. So probably now they have to look 4 years ahead. Probably 2 years ahead to look at firstly look at the home Ashes that will happen in 2027 and then the 2029 Ashes in Down Under. But I guess lessons need to be learned. I think England badly need a win in Sydney to just make themselves feel a little more little better than what they are right now, feel a little more upbeat about themselves. Yes, they've got this win, but probably a full 4 to 5 day test match and a win for England would do them would do their morale a whole lot of good, as well as to the fans who have come in thousands and thousands. The Barmy Army has been really backing this English team through thick and thin. It's been a tough ride for them. Remember, copping up from fellow Australian fans. It's not been easy for them, but they have stuck with this team. And now the last stop, which is Sydney, they would like to go to round off the series with a win. 3-2 just looks a tad little better than 4-1. Remember, we were talking about 5-0 at one stage after the third test match. So England has done well to take one test match off Australia. I don't think probably if the test lasts 4 to 5 days, and if the balance of test cricket is much better than what we saw in Melbourne, Australia will probably be able to do the basics for longer duration than England, and they would probably win this test match. And then 4-1, you never know what then happens with the top leadership in the English team. That we still need to wait and watch. I hope you found this video interesting. Please do subscribe to my channel, the SNS Cricket Diaries, and I will see you sometime during the 5th test match or post the 5th test match. Remember, India and New Zealand are also going to play a series of one-day internationals and T20s. So it's going to be interesting to see how that pans up. We'll be probably doing a review. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, I mean, I hope you continue to enjoy the videos that I put on the SNS Cricket Diaries. Until the next time, see you. Take care. Bye.